Novak has been deported. Does that decision degrade Australia's international reputation?
I think so. I think it makes it look like idiots. I've got to say, though, I don't think it's so much the decision to deport him. It's the whole affair. We told him he was going to have an exemption from our policy, our double vax requirement policy. We told him he had that exemption. We invited him to come over here. We gave him a visa. Then when he turned up, our Border Force officials strong-armed him at the airport, acting in a way that the federal court put in its orders last week was unreasonable. We threw him in detention for 5 days. Not just some journeyman tennis player, but the number one tennis player, arguably the greatest tennis player the world has ever seen, threw him in detention for 5 days. Then when he finally showed that that first decision was unlawful, we let him out. We held him on a hook for 5 days while we all wondered what was going on. Late on the Friday, another decision, and we kick him out of the country on the Sunday, the night before the tournament. We had to delay the draw. People didn't know who was playing when on the Monday, late into the Sunday night. Of course we look stupid here. Now, look, sure, Novak, it would have just get vaccinated. It'd be easier if you just got vaccinated. You could have come here, played in the Australian Open, maybe won your 10th, gone ahead of Rafa and Federer, and you'd be the greatest ever. Frankly, I think he's an idiot for not getting vaccinated.
Yeah, but that's not the point, Justin. At the end of the day, that's
no. Well, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying, Rita. I'm saying he started this, but the way we've handled it could not have been worse. It could not have been worse, and it's an embarrassment to all of us. And we should be all embarrassed about the way our authorities have handled it. And who cares about state? Oh, it was the state government's fault. It was the federal government's fault. It was Tennis Australia's. I don't care. And nobody overseas cares about those distinctions. It's Australia when people look at it overseas. So we're all tainted by this.
We are, but if the polls are right, most Australians couldn't be happier about this decision, no matter how it makes us look overseas. The Prime Minister has said that Djokovic may be welcomed back to Australia before the end of his 3-year ban under the right circumstances, whatever that means. What does that mean? I mean, does this 3-year ban, is it flexible? Is it again going to be decided with an eye on the polls and focus groups? What's happening here?
Every decision of leadership in this country is now decided with an eye on the polls. So I'm not just talking federally, I'm talking state, everything. We are led by focus groups. Now, in answer to your question, though, about the 3-year ban, that ban is mandatory. That is, it is automatic, but it is not mandatory. So what that means is, it's automatically imposed. It's a re-entry ban for 3 years. That exists. He's banned as things currently stand for 3 years. But it doesn't have to be the case for forever. It can be waived. And if you think about it, the purpose of this re-entry ban when you're deported, normally you're deported because you've done something wrong. You've overstayed your visa. That's the usual reason. But it might be breaking a law or something like that. Or being of bad character, etc. None of those reasons apply. In fact, nothing. He was deported not because of anything he did, but because of an effect it was believed by the minister would occur in the community. And they in fact said, we accept you're of good character. We accept that you haven't tried to break any rules here. We accept that you do a lot of philanthropic work. We accept that you got double vax. We accept even that you entered the country in compliance with the ATAGI guidelines. We accept all of that. But we think other people might be effectively incited by this. Now, so he's been deported not for anything he has done since being here. He's been deported for an effect it's believed his presence will have. So I think what that really means is, to answer your question finally, is that he will, typical lawyer going on, hey, what it means is he will be allowed back in if this double vaccination policy isn't still in existence next year, or more to the point, if as you say, the polls allow him. So that's a shame, but that is the case. We are poll driven.
Well, absolutely poll driven, and it seems like such an illogical reasoning for this decision, as if in a country that is 95%, almost 95% double vaxxed, Novak's presence is going to drive some anti-vaccine sentiment, and people who are going to get vaxxed aren't going to get vaxxed. Or do they think we're simpletons who are just going to blindly follow a tennis player's medical decisions? I mean, to me, that in itself is ridiculous. Now, the court is yet to provide written reasons for their decision, but they were at length to state that their judgment did not reflect on the merits or wisdom of the decision. What do you believe the court will state as their likely reason for Djokovic's deportation?
So there's a few things to say to what you just said a moment ago. The first is the reason given by the minister will almost certainly be, in my view, have been driven by the lawyers. Because, and what I mean by that is the less information, the less reasons given to Djokovic for deporting him, the less material that Djokovic had to try and find an error. What he had to do in court was not prove this was a bad decision or the wrong decision or a better decision could have been made. What he had to prove was there was a legal error in the making of the decision. And so, of course, if you give Djokovic 10 reasons, then he's got effectively 10 chances to try and show some error. If you give him one reason, he's only got one chance. And that, I think, is what happened in this case. Now, ironically, and so that's why the court was very clear to say, we're not here to discuss the merits of this. It's only looking for legal error. So the reasons are going to come back and effectively say, we can't see any error. There is no error, legal error. But I think
no legal error, Justin, but I would say very much a logic error here, massive logic error. Justin Quill, thank you so much for your time tonight.
Thanks, Reddit.